Recording. Hi, this is Virginia Shank. I'm a vocal artist based in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am doing a series of interviews called Vocal Journeys, where voicing yourself ignites passion for our planet. And with me today is Trey Clegg, who is what we call a triple threat. He is a fabulous accompanist, fabulous organist, and a fabulous choral conductor, known for his clarity, excitement, and expressiveness. Um, that just is the tip of the iceberg. Please welcome today, Trey Clegg. Trey, how are you?
Doing much better.
Yes,
Thankful to be alive.
yes. Well, and so in particular, I invited Trey today because he had contracted COVID. So this series was inspired since so many musicians are at home. How are you spending your time? And Trey, let's just launch right in there. You contracted COVID and you've been to the hospital not once, but twice. So fill us in on what that's been like.
Oh my. Well, the first time I started feeling, it was March 8th, so it was pretty much at the beginning of the pandemic, and here in Atlanta anyway. And I started feeling really worn out, like way beyond anything I've ever experienced. And fever went up to 103. And then a couple of days later, the coughing started, and I couldn't breathe. And so went to the doctor. And if you can imagine this would have been March 12th by the time I got to the doctor's appointment. He came into the room with a hazmat suit on to give me my test, COVID test. And between the time he gave me the test and the time it came back with the results was a week. During that week, my symptoms just worsened to the degree that I thought each breath I took would be my last.
That is
And
so
so
frightening. Oh my
it
God.
was frightening, really. So somehow, and I truly believe it was angels because it was at nighttime, I got myself to the doctor, to the hospital, that is, excuse me, Piedmont Hospital here in Atlanta. And when I walked in and couldn't breathe, they immediately got me back into a room without intake or anything and got me on oxygen. And the kindest folks in the world. And who knew, the charge nurse, who I'd never met, had attended some of my concerts with the Trey Clegg Singers. And so all of a sudden I started getting all this treatment.
That's fabulous.
It was amazing.
Already making a difference, even when you're physically ill. Oh my gosh.
So they literally saved my life.
And so then, Trey, gosh, I can't believe it, and I'm so glad that you're with us today and upright. So then, just so folks can have a little insight, what happened? You came home and were recovering, and I remember you saying, I had read on Facebook because we're friends on Facebook, and you kind of gave a warning, folks. It takes a while to get over this. I still don't feel well. I'm not like, back playing, every day, etc. So tell us what that was like.
Oh my goodness. So, anytime you go through a respiratory illness, especially if you came off of almost checking out of here from respiratory distress, as what happened to me in the hospital, it really sends your body for a loop, so it takes a while to recover from that.
Of course.
And so it's just, Virginia, as you can imagine, it's a complete devoid of energy. The first day I came to try to get back to the piano would have been 3.5 weeks since I initially got sick. And it was an auspicious occasion for me, so I put it on Facebook. After playing for 5 minutes, I almost passed out because of the energy, that it took.
Of course.
So, and I slept all the time. So finally, the symptoms started to go away, and found myself breathing again after being sent home with oxygen, an inhaler, hydrocodone cough syrup, antibiotics, just the whole works, and slept constantly.
I bet. And that was when you came home from the first time?
Right.
Yeah. And then what happened?
So it seemed that I was healing from that well. As I mentioned, the respiratory symptoms went away, although the fatigue was still there. Well, between my choir members that I conduct in the Trey Clegg Singers, my church choir, my colleagues at Spelman College, and my colleagues I sing with in the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra chorus, they were all tripping over each other to bring food to me like every day.
That's
Food.
because they love you. You are so well loved, Trey Clegg. By
I
so
love
many.
them. It's a beautiful community here in Atlanta,
It
and
is. We rely on community, and
oh yeah,
for those who don't know Trey, he gives and gives and gives. You look really calm right now, Trey, but when you are at full throttle, it's an ever ready bunny. You're always on the go and so enthusiastic and fun to work with, and fun to see perform. So I know that this is the calm, that you're still getting your energy back, but it's the community, and I know everybody's loving giving back to you.
oh thank you. Well, when you're eating all this phenomenal food, oh my God, and I'm not trying to be funny, but
Look, right?
right. So the majority of the beloved community with whom I'm privileged to work is the African American community.
Right.
And let me tell you, can't nobody cook like a sister.
Oh,
It's fabulous.
that's
So, and all this love. So, well, all of a sudden, I found myself having, and not from overeating, because I never overeat, but I found myself having really horrible abdominal pain last week that came out of nowhere. And at first thought it might have been food poisoning. And so it had gone on for a few days. I was determined to not go back to the hospital because, since I was there the first time, COVID has just multiplied. And, I didn't want to get exposed again. So I went because my doctor actually sent me to get a CT scan, of the abdominal area to be sure that there was nothing, horrible going on. And as God would have it, it was not a return of COVID to the abdominal system as I had originally thought.
Okay.
It was just a bug, a stomach bug, because my system is so vulnerable right now,
Of course. Man, you've been through it. Well, I really am so glad to see you upright and with us today, and having the energy to have this interview with me. So let's get on to the wonderful things when we can get back to life as normal. Um, Give our folks, what's a day like in the day of Trey Clegg, because you do so much. And let me also add that since I'm a vocalist and you're a vocalist too, singing with Atlanta Symphony Chorus and conducting, and you're so fabulous at that. But when I think of voice, I think of all the ways that we express. So I know that you're also on piano and organ. So all those things. What's a day in the life of Trey Clegg on a normal day?
At least 18 to 20 hours, it seems. Oh my God.
I know that's right.
Well, the alarm goes off typically between 5:30 and 6, and get up and go for a run to Piedmont Park. Now, mind you, all of this is pre-pandemic, naturally,
Pandemic, that's right.
And then do some practicing at home every day. I try not to ever go without touching the keyboard. Some days I don't get to practice my 4 or 5 hours that I want to remain in shape. But even if it scales, and then after that, flying off to Spelman College, where I'm an instructor of music there, working with the junior and senior recital students in the Department of Music,
Fabulous.
preparing them for graduation.
Yes.
And so teaching and coaching all day, and trying to get some practice time myself in as well. My very, very dear friend and mentor, Dr. Joyce Finch Johnson, the Spelman College organist, is amazing. And that's not even the half of it. And she is so sweet and gracious in sharing the wonderful Holt Camp organ with me in Sisters Chapel at Spelman for practice and what have you.
So fantastic. Yes. What a place that is, Spelman.
Oh, it's Spelman is my lifeline. I'll be starting year number 14 there this fall.
Wow.
And that's my family.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific.
All the students that have gone through. And I guess one of our greatest success stories there is Adrienne Walker, who graduated from us in 2008. And she's currently singing the role of the adult Nala in The Lion King on Broadway, of course, pre-pandemic,
Pre-pandemic. That's right.
So many other students, that have gone to we always send them to graduate school, and then they leave graduate school and soar with their careers,
Yes.
So anyway, it's so easy for me to digress. Sorry.
Yeah,
so typically, go ahead.
Well, I mean, there's so many, your life is so vast. There's so much that we could talk about. I'd like to maybe shift to the Trey Clegg Singers, because you've worked with church choirs, and you still do, but you have this group that's kind of multicultural, right?
Right.
Yes, and you were supposed to be at Carnegie Hall this month, and you were supposed to be in Charleston at the Spoleto Festival. So tell us about that group and kind of how they came to be, because they are fantastic.
Oh, thanks, Virginia. Well, I'd always known I wanted to start a chorus that would bring a diverse population, an international population, together to sing, because we live in a decidedly international city.
Yes.
And as I looked around, it seemed that many choruses, of course, have a few of different people of different cultures, but not a broad swath of people from many different cultures in the group.
Right.
So things happened in my last church job that I resigned, and well, I didn't resign, but that's another story.
Yes.
And so
yes.
the whole minister thing. And so I had really felt led for a while to start a chorus like this. After I had conducted the music in 2012 for the current Episcopal bishop's ordination here in Atlanta, the Right Reverend Bishop Robert C. Wright, he asked me to put together a 300 voice choir. And so after that experience being so glorious, that was when I knew God was calling me to start a multicultural group,
That's right. And for our listeners who don't know, the Reverend Rob Wright is a fabulous man. Used to be at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York, and he is our bishop here, the Episcopal bishop, African-American bishop, which we're very proud of, helping us with diversity.
Yeah, he's the giant from whom I learned. And so, I love that man. So after I left St. Paul's and found myself essentially jobless church-wise, because I still had Spelman, this was God's calling to say, hey, now it's time. And so most of the church choir, which was 80 singers, about 60 of them came with me immediately, left the church and followed me of their own volition.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, this is a way to initially for us to stay together. And we're going to put the word out initially to all the folks that sang in the bishop's ordination choir and tell them we're starting this new group. And Virginia people just came out of nowhere.
Of course.
And within, that would have been in March. 2 months later, the word had spread to Charleston. And we were only 2 months old when we sang at the Spoleto Festival the first time. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's because you've laid so much groundwork, and it's just like one thing that leads to another. And I mean, it is fantastic. But of course you got asked. Of course you did.
Thanks. And
Yes.
so after we did that first Spoleto Festival performance, just literally weeks after we got started, the floodgates opened and people started coming to audition. And, you know, I've got people in there, geez, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, gay, straight, Republican, Democratic, every kind of diverse you can think of.
Right, because this is emblematic of Atlanta, the USA. This is who we are. We are all these faces and all these voices. I just love that.
Thanks. And so we sing a variety of music, you know, in multiple languages and what have you. And, you know, you've got white folks who've never been exposed to African-American, real African-American gospel music.
Right.
And learning about these rhythms and learning the history of an oppressed people who have traveled a ways,
right.
as we hear in the African American national anthem, "Lift Every Voice and Sing." And then, of course, I think every African American individual in the chorus, because of assimilation, has been singing Euro classical music their entire lives. So that's been no big deal for them. Yeah. So, but we've all grown together to all be one group and learning from each other, you see.
Right. And there's nothing like the power of music to bring people together to learn these things.
Oh, clearly.
It's just the best. It's the best.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Our first Christmas concert as the Trey Clegg Singers, I taught them repertoire sung in Mandarin, Spanish, Russian, German, Swahili, Latin, the old classical Latin, and Italian and English, of course.
Oh my gosh. And so Trey, you know, of course, what a disappointment not to be at Spoleto this month or to be at Carnegie Hall. How are you, besides just, you know, surviving and being able to breathe and live right now, are you creatively thinking, or maybe it's premature, but in different ways? Is the pandemic changing any of your focus? Maybe expanding it or fine-tuning it, or has any of that changed for you?
If you thought I was attention deficit hyperactivity disorder before the pandemic, just a look out. Because I have to remember that my version of demure and calm is everybody else's hyperactivity. So most folks can't handle my energy when I'm full throttle.
I know. You heard it from him. You heard it from him.
This is about as demure as it gets, ever.
Yes, I know, and I know that's true. I know that's true. Wow. Well, are you talking to your singers via Facebook or emails at all? Keeping up?
Since I have been getting better and increasing in energy, which was 2 or 3 weeks ago on my birthday, Easter Sunday, in fact.
Oh, gosh.
We've started having chorus Zoom meetings every Thursday night in place of where our rehearsal would have been.
Great. Well, that's a fabulous way to problem solve that and to stay connected. Love it.
Absolutely. And so it's in our mission statement that we use music as a healing force to bring people together.
Fantastic. I'm all about it. Absolutely.
Thanks.
Wow.
So healing is clearly where we're going. Healing through music, and we're able to sing again.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, when they even talk about the shortness of breath and, you know, the lung part of this, respiratory part of this, you know, as human beings, of course, just to breathe, to be alive, and as singers, you know, multi-layered, but it is existence to have breath.
Oh, Virginia, let me tell you, as a singer, and as a singer yourself, you'll appreciate the following. When you are struggling to breathe, and like I said, on my way to the hospital that night, the first time when I thought every breath I took would be my last, to think that I would ever sing again, and now I can, is a miracle. That is a God miracle.
It is a miracle. Well, Trey, we are so grateful for this time with you. I want you to play something in a minute if you're up to it. But where can folks find you? How would they follow you when things get up and going, or maybe even can look online to some of your performances in the past?
Oh, sure. Either on YouTube, of course, or on our website, which is www.thetreykleggsingers.org, or our Facebook page, the Trey Clegg Singers, as well.
Great. And Trey Clegg is spelled Treyclegg, the Trey Clegg Singers. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Do you feel like giving us some music?
Sure. So I grew up in church. My dad's a minister, and uh, the reality of hymnody, the strength of hymnody has helped me through this process. And so there is a beloved hymn that comes from Lamentations. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hands have provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Oh.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Lord, unto
Trey, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Um, music, music, and our planet is really blessed to have you on it, and Atlanta is really blessed to have you with us. So, everybody, look up Trey's work. You can see him on NPR even. We didn't mention that. But Trey Clegg, Trey, thank you so much and continue to be well, my friend. Mwah.
you. God bless you.